Oh, okay. That just saved you an A less point. Thank you, Marquise. The I can statement for today. I'm already booking this one. Is lesson 74. The I can statement is I can write a fraction as a decimal. Say it with me. I can write a fraction as a decimal. It's not that difficult, but please make sure you're following along, because if you miss a step, if you skip a step, that will be bad. There are 4 examples for today, and I think there is like 4 or 6 questions on your exit ticket. Let's get rolling. First question, example 1. It's convert 1/4 to a decimal number. How in the world would you get 1/4 to become a decimal? Reese? I'll tell you. You divide. All you're doing today is divide it. But what do you divide by what? What goes inside the house? What knocks at the door? Where do things go? Take a guess, Antoine?
4 divided by 1.
No, because if you did that, the answer would be 4. That's not a decimal number. Also, the way it's made, that's physically impossible. That's like me trying to stick my leg above my head. Physically impossible. Asia. Right, in order to put any fraction into a decimal, you take the numerator divided by the denominator. And that's all we're doing today. Literally. That's the only thing we're doing today. You're going to take the numerator. Make sure you get that down. The numerator. Star it even. So you're like, oh, Mr. Seaver, I don't know what to do. I'm going to point to your notes and say, what does that say? It says numerator times denominator. And like Asia said, that would be 1 divided by 4. Now you're saying, but Mr. Seaver, how in the world does that work? 4 is bigger than 1. Well, Marquise?
So when we probably have a problem like this, you just take that 1 out and just use the bottom number?
Kinda. What you're gonna do is first you gotta make sure you know where the decimal is. Your decimal is right there, because 1 is right there. After every single number in the world, there's a decimal. We just don't put it down because why would we? That's a waste of time. But it is there. It's like the Holy Spirit and the angels. They are right next to you all the time. It's just you don't see them. Now, what you do with this, you go straight on up. Straight on up out of this town. You're going straight up. Now, how many groups of 4 go into 1? Well, 0. Because that's the only thing that can go, because you can't have any groups of 4 in 1. So 4 times 0 is 0. You subtract. Now you have 1. Now, this is another thing. You know how Jesus had an army of angels waiting for him back in Paul? Like literally, no one understands. Not a lot of people understand this. Literally, Jesus only had to say this, get them, and then an army of angels would come down and destroy everybody. Because they were always there with their arms out of their sleeves and wearing their uniform just correct. There's an infinite amount of zeros behind the decimal. Infinite. What does that word infinite mean? Line and H. Never ending. But do we need to put a never ending amount of zeros behind it? No, we're only going to put 1 at a time until we get their answer. So now you have a 0, drop it down. Now with my little 1 over there, now I have 10. All right. How many groups of 4 can go into 10? Show me with your fingers. You should be able to do it on one hand. If you're German, you do it like me. Because Germans do this. Germans go 1, 2, 3. But your answer doesn't have 3. It's not 3. Don't do 3. I'm sorry. I got lost in the Correct. It is 2. So you put a 2 up here. 4 times 2 is 8. That's a weird 8. And I'm going to get 2 down here. Okay. Are we done? And we have a 2, right? We have a 2 left over. So that means, what do we have to add over here next to this, what is now 10? What do we have to add to it, McKenna? Another 0, because there's an infinite amount of zeros. Not stress that enough. Like, Mr. Stewart, what do I do now? You put a 0 and you drop it. Now you have 20. How many groups of 4 can go into 20? Naraya. Correct. 5. So our answer is 0.25 because I can't do it anymore. I don't have enough room anymore. But make sure that you do the final act of 20 divided by 20 minus 20 equals 0. Am I seeing it? So drop down the 0. Okay, now you have 20. I don't see any zeros right here. It should look exactly like it does up there. And that's going to have to be a deduction because you're now following along. You got to make sure you're getting these notes down. You are graded for your notes. And it goes right along with your test grade. So it's worth the test because you have 10 lessons in there. It should be super easy. Reese. That 1 come from? Yeah? Where did the 1 go? Well, what's, because that's not a 1, that's a 10. What's 10 minus 8? So you have to cross out the 1. Make that a 10. 10 minus 8 is, that's not a 1, that's a 10. So the 1 disappears because now that's not a 10 anymore. That's some very basic math. All right, we're not going to do this, but we're going to have to use our brains because I'm not allowing you guys to use calculators. But example 2, you got to convert 15 over 16. How do we convert 15 over 16? Jonathan. Correct. Numerator divided by denominator. So 15 goes inside, divided by 16. I'm going to have you quickly and quietly do that by yourself. You should have 4 numbers behind the 0. So you should have 4 numbers behind the 0. Please get working. I'll give you 2 minutes. Turn 15 over 16 into turn 15 16ths into a decimal number, and you should have 4 numbers. Do not stop until you hit 0. No more, no remainders. Where did I get that 8 from? What's 2 times 4? Remember? That's how you divide. So 2 times 4 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. Janasia, I don't see you working. It's hard to see you working when you have to find your hand. I gave you how it should start off as. Okay, so stop looking around and only a couple people are doing it right. Boys and girls, this is literally just division with two rules. Move the decimal up, you gotta put a 0 at the end. So I see a lot of people just putting down 16. How many groups? None. Can't put any in 15. You gotta put a 0 here. How many groups of 16 go to 150? Well, take 16 times this, times that, times that. See what you get. Destiny? Right. Goes in there 9 times. 9 times 6 is... Reese? 54. 54, carry the 5. 9 times 1 is 9. So you got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 144. 150 minus 144. I really need you boys and girls to make sure you're doing your freckle assignments because I do put a lot of division problems on there. And it seems like we're having struggles just dividing. Kingston. 6. Let's see. Correct. Okay, gotta keep going. How many groups of 16 are in 60? Make sure I'm doing this right. Yep. Kingston. Correct. 3. 3 times 16 is what? 24, carry the 2. 54. Right? No. 3 times 6 is 24, carry the 2. 3. Yeah, it is 54, isn't it? Oh, yeah, I forget. Cross this out. We'll do an easier one. Because none of you are getting that one. Except for a couple people. Kingston? Sorry, what? I don't know. We'll skip it. Okay, so now, what if they ask you to write 7/2 as a decimal? So now you have a mixed number. Now, when you have a mixed number like this, that's like, for instance, we're talking about pies. There's 7 whole pies in your kitchen, and there's 2/5 of one left. So with the 7, or any whole number in front of a or in front of the mixed number, goes right in front of your decimal. Okay? So we got the first part of our answer done, 7 point something. Now we got to figure out that 2/5. So when you see a mixed number, the whole number in front goes in front of the decimal. And then you just do nothing else with it. How do you take 2/5 and change it into a decimal? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Which way? Only 3 people know? I only see a couple people who know how to sit right in their chairs. They're back up. Then we do Jonathan. Mari? Can divide. We leave the 7 alone, like we said. The 7's already done. You put 2 inside the house and divide it by 5. Okay. Okay, we're going to go through this as a class because division does not seem to be the strong suit. How many groups of 5 go into 2? Correct. 0. Because 5 is greater than 2. Now you put the decimal here. Put it straight up. Okay, now you're on the right track. What do we have to add to the 2 right here? Okay, good to see some more hands coming up. Antoine.
0.
Right, because there's an infinite amount of zeros. Now you do not have 2. Now you have 20. How many groups of 5 are in 20? Monte? Correct. What do we do now? We have a 7 point something, or 7 point, and we have a 0.4. What do? We put them together. So you take that 0.4, bring it over here as 7.4. Any questions?
No.
Kingston?
So when you move it, the zero is just not it's existing. You don't use the zero anymore.
Yeah, well, if you want to be technical about it, and make sure your eyes are up here, not outside. If you want to be technical about it, it's really 7.0 plus 0.4. And what do you get, Kingston? 7.4. But like I said, I'm a pretty lazy guy when it comes to math, so I just skip all the way to the 7.4. But that was a good slowdown and question. So I'll give you a payment for that. Any other questions?
Also, the bullshit like the 0.4. What if you have a bigger problem? You just have to keep going until you get it?
So buddy goes on your exit ticket and on your homework, and when you're not sleeping. Because I'm getting really tired of people looking, like laying on their hands, trying to rest their heads, trying to fall asleep in math class, when none of your grades say that you can do that. I can literally count on one hand how many of you are doing actually well in math class. So for those who are trying to sleep, ignore, and not do their work, that is why your grades are not looking like they are. They should be A's. But when I look at class like this, I see maybe 2 or 3 people actually paying attention, the rest trying to sleep. So how in the world do you expect to get good grades if you're constantly trying to fall asleep, daydream, and not pay attention?
I'm up.
I am here to help, but I can't help you if you're not going to help yourself. I don't care if you don't like math. I didn't like math. I don't care that you're not good at math. I wasn't good at math. I used to get yelled at by my dad every single night because I couldn't figure out what he meant by now redo it. I'm like, what? Whatever. But if you just sit there and take this as just another opportunity for a nap, you will fail. And after your parents call me and say, why is my child grade looks this way? I'll be like, they're falling asleep in class. Even though I'm shouting and asking, do you understand? There seems still be not a lot of participation. If you ever noticed, my voice has gone up since we started because half of you seem like you're falling asleep, when in all actuality, that is something you cannot afford. So wake up, otherwise you're going to have to redo the entire lesson with me at a recess. Because I love you so much, I do not want you to fail. And it's getting really disheartening when I look at your homework. We got one more example, then your exit ticket. Write down example 3 or 4 at this point. All right. Now, what if you have a family game night and your family's a bunch of nerds? And they look at you. If we're going to roll this dice, Marquise, what is the decimal chance of you landing on one of these colors? Marquise is like, I know how to do this because Mr. Sievert taught me in math class. How many sides are there on a dice? Destiny. Right. And when I asked Marquise what his family members asked him, they said one of these numbers or one of these colors, depending on whatever. So that means there's one chance, there's 1/6 for you to find whatever number there is. You're like, fine, roll number 2. He's got 1 in 6 chances to roll a 2. We need to change that into a decimal. How do you do it? Marquise.
1.6.
No. McKenna. You're going to divide. What are you going to divide? You said divide 1 by 6? Thank you. Put 1 inside the house divided by 6. Because when this line, whenever you see it, yes, it represents fractions, but every fraction is whatever it is, the numerator divided by the denominator. That's what this means. When you look at a fraction, this is what it means. You just don't act it out because no one wants to look at a decimal, but now we do. So how many groups of 6 go into 1? Correct, 0. 6 is greater than 1. Decimal, straight up. Put it right there. I'm skipping the step of doing the 0 because I write really big, so the people come boring can see it. But what do you have to put behind that 1? Janasia. Correct. Kamari, what number do you have now since you added that 0?
10.
Correct. How many groups of 6 are in 10? Thank you for the finger so we can get this rolling faster. 1. So 6 times 1. 6. 10 minus 6, 4. Okay, are we done? No. What do you have to add now? Wait a second. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed up the problem. This one's my bad. Oh. So Marquise's family, big nerds. They asked him to roll dice. I was right with 1/6 of a chance. But the problem is even numbers. So how many even numbers are on a dice? Asia? 3. So to roll the even number, you got 3 out of 6 chances to roll an even number. Can you do something like this? Do something with this before you do any division. Asia. You can reduce. Destiny, what can you reduce by? 3, because 3 can be divided by 3. 6 can be divided by 6, which equals Antoine, 1/2. Now, how would you convert that into a decimal? To be honest, you can even do it without looking because this decimal is always connected to 1/2. Kingston? You divide it. 2 goes in there 0 times. Bring it up. Now you have 10. How many groups of 2 go into 10? Naraya? 5. So your answer would be 0.5 chance to roll an even number. My goodness gracious, is it me or is it just hot in here? Any questions? I got sidetracked with my little thing right now. Any questions? Antoine?
That's it.
Chance to roll an even number. Because that's what the problem asks. Make sure that when you do great things, or when you write your answer, if it asks for a light